So Torontonians pay about $8.2 billion in property taxes. That's how much Torontonians pay through their property tax. $8.2 billion in total. But do we get that money? Do we get all of that money? No, we don't. Right? We don't get all of that money. Does anybody in Toronto know that we don't get all of that money? No, they don't. And I'll tell you why. I'll explain why. Because the province has whittled its way onto our property tax bill. In fact, they've whittled their way, they've burrowed their way there so deep that they actually have regulations on the size of font that you can put on that property tax bill. The explanations that you can give for that property tax bill. You see, you're prohibited from sending two property tax bills, one for the City of Toronto and one for the Province of Ontario. Why are we prohibited? Because through regulation, it's prescribed that way. They're hidden there. They've hidden themselves there. They've whittled their way there. They've burrowed their way there through a series of regulations, right down to the font type and size. So what do they do? What have they done by doing that? They basically extract from the city's property tax base $2.2 billion, right? So we get, out of the $8.2 billion that's paid, we get a little under $6, they get the balance. Now what do property taxes represent? They represent about 30% of our overall budget. 30%. What do monies from the provincial and federal governments represent? Roughly the same thing as property tax. So what's the ongoing perpetual game that's played here? Simple. They reduce their transfers to us, their monies to us. They force us to increase property taxes. I remember the speech when we introduced the land transfer tax. I don't know, 15 years ago, 17 years ago, 18 years ago. I remember the speech. This solves the structural problems in our budget. I remember that. I remember those words. I can quote it. Well, did it solve the structural problems in our budgets? No, let me see. No, it didn't. Why? Because we need, to transfer $1.3 billion out of reserves and a whole bunch of other things. And then, as Councillor Cole said, every year we need to go as beggars on our knees to the other levels of government and say, please don't cut, because as you cut, we either have to increase property taxes beyond people's ability to pay or willy-nilly wipe out services. That's it. That's the game forever. Does any Torontonian know that $2.2 billion of their property tax money is going to the provincial government? No, it's not. All that motion says is that that money rightfully belongs here. The province lost all right to that when Mike Harris made the changes he made. In fact, he promised it to us. He promised that he would take the government off the property tax bill. That was the promise for the transfer and all those things. So you increase property taxes, you make housing less affordable. You increase property taxes, you make life more difficult for people across the city. You increase property taxes, you don't build the city you want, and you don't pay for the services you need. That's the formula. That's the fight.